The Zephyrian High Command watched in horror as their 7th Battalion fell to the Ravagers. The monstrous creatures moved like liquid death across the battlefield, their obsidian claws slicing through energy shields as if they were paper. Each beast stood 12 feet tall, with muscles that rippled beneath their armored hides and eyes that burned with predatory intelligence. Commander Veltar's mandibles clicked in distress as he observed the tactical display. 17 worlds, he muttered to his aide. 17 worlds consumed, and we can't even slow them down. The Ravagers had appeared from the void 3 cycles ago, their massive bioships seeding world after world with these unstoppable hunters. No military force in the galaxy had managed to halt their advance. The Altarian Defense Corps had lost 3 fleets. The Crystalline Collective's energy-based warriors had been devoured whole. Even the warrior poets of Sigma Draconis, renowned for their tactical brilliance, had fallen in mere hours. "Sir," the aide whispered, "the human vessel is requesting permission to join the defense." Veltar's eye stalk swiveled toward the communication array. A single human ship, a battered frigate called the Defiant, hung in space near their command vessel. He'd heard of humans, of course, the newest species to achieve interstellar travel, barely 2 centuries into their spacefaring age. Primitive by galactic standards, but they'd somehow earned a reputation for unpredictability. One ship? Veltar clicked dismissively. What could one primitive vessel accomplish? "The human captain insists she has a plan, sir." Captain Sarah Chen's weathered face filled the communication screen moments later. Her dark eyes held a calm intensity that surprised Veltar. Behind her, he could see a bridge that looked almost archaic compared to Zephyrian technology. Physical switches, mechanical displays, and what appeared to be actual paper charts. "Commander," she said without preamble, "I've been studying your tactical reports. These Ravagers, they hunt like Earth predators I know well. Pack hunters with a rigid hierarchy. Captain Chen, with respect, these creatures have destroyed armies numbering in the millions. What could your single vessel?" "Numbers don't matter if you're playing the wrong game," Chen interrupted. "You've been fighting them like soldiers. But they're not soldiers, they're predators. And every predator, no matter how deadly, has one weakness." Veltar's curiosity overcame his skepticism. "Which is?" "Their instincts. They can't help but follow them." Chen leaned forward. "I need 3 things. Your most powerful energy signature generators, enough time to reach the surface of Kepler 442b, and every ship in your fleet to jump to minimum safe distance exactly 73 minutes after I land." The Zephyrian commander's aide began to protest, but Chen continued. "These things have been hunting for millennia, Commander. They've never encountered a species that learned to hunt by hunting the hunters." 18 hours later, Sarah Chen stood alone in the crystalline caves of Kepler 442b. Her ship's energy generators hummed at maximum output, sending a signal that blazed across subspace like a beacon. The Ravager bioship had already entered orbit, disgorging its deadly cargo. Soon, hundreds of the creatures would converge on her position. Chen checked her equipment one final time. The cave system had taken her 12 hours to prepare, but it was perfect. A natural funnel with only one entrance wide enough for the massive predators. She'd spent 6 hours rigging the ancient human explosives throughout the cavern network, connecting them to pressure sensors and motion detectors with technology so primitive that the Ravager's bioelectric senses wouldn't even register it as artificial. The first Ravager appeared at the cave mouth as Kepler's twin suns began to set. It paused, testing the air with sensory organs that could detect prey from miles away. The energy signature drew it forward, but something else held its attention, the scent of fear of prey trapped in waiting. Chen smiled grimly from her position deep within the cave system. She'd been releasing synthetic pheromones for hours, compounds that mimicked the terror scent of a dozen different species the Ravagers had hunted. To them, she wouldn't just smell like prey. She'd smell like the most delicious, helpless prey they'd ever encountered. The first beast entered the cave, followed by another, then another. Their massive forms barely fit through the entrance, but they pressed forward, driven by instincts honed over millions of years of evolution. Behind them, hundreds more gathered, the entire pack drawn by the irresistible scent of easy prey. Chen waited until the last Ravager squeezed into the cave system. Through her helmet's display, she watched their heat signatures filling every tunnel, every chamber, packed together in their eagerness to reach the source of that tantalizing fear scent. "This is Captain Chen to all ships," she whispered into her comm. "In 5 seconds, you're going to learn why humans spent 10,000 years as persistence hunters before we ever reach for the stars." She pressed the detonator. The explosion wasn't nuclear. Human nuclear weapons were crude by galactic standards. Instead, Chen had used something far more primitive and far more devastating in this context: old-fashioned chemistry and physics. Thousands of shaped charges, precisely placed, brought down millions of tons of rock in a carefully orchestrated cascade. The cave system collapsed in on itself, creating a tomb that would hold until the planet's star burned out. As the Defiant limped away from Kepler 442b, Commander Veltar watched the sensor readings in amazement. The entire Ravager pack, nearly 800 of the creatures that had seemed unstoppable, was buried beneath a mountain of stone. "How?" he asked over the comm. Captain Chen's tired voice crackled through the speakers. "Commander, your species evolved as prey animals that learned to fight. The Ravagers evolved as apex predators that never had to learn cunning. But humans? We evolved as prey that learned to hunt our hunters. We spent millennia being stalked by creatures stronger, faster, and more deadly than us." She paused, and when she spoke again, there was something ancient and patient in her voice. "We learned that the deadliest trap isn't the one that kills you quickly. It's the one that uses your own nature against you. The Ravagers couldn't help but enter that cave. Every instinct they had told them that cornered, frightened prey was the easiest prey. They never learned to recognize the difference between a trap and an opportunity." As the human ship jumped to hyperspace, Veltar realized that the galaxy had just learned something important about humanity. They weren't just another species that had learned to fight. They were the species that had learned to make their enemies defeat themselves, and that perhaps made them the most dangerous hunters of all.